This is Blaine White from Steam Hollow Brewing Company, and you're listening to this freaking show.
What's up, everybody? I am Travis here. Welcome to another episode of This Freakin' Show. It's a weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. The weekly podcast is brought to you by the Firepit Bar and Grill of Peotone, Illinois. If you're looking for a down-home country restaurant that offers you a burger and beer for just $7.99 every Monday and Wednesday, check out the Firepit Bar and Grill of Peotone. You can find them at Facebook at Firepit Bar, or find out about them here on This Freakin' Show. Guys, I'm really excited. We're not going to take a lot of time here on the intro or even the outro because I get to sit down with Jackie about ketosis, about the diet that I have made part of my life, and a lot of people in the world are making part of their lives too. So I'm really excited to talk to her. When we decided to do this and everything, we were really worried about how much time, we were going to do with this, and even before we started recording, I told her, listen, even if it's only 20 or 30 minutes, it doesn't matter because as long as we get the information out there, that's what matters. Well, come to find out, it wasn't just 20 or 30 minutes. It wasn't even an hour. We spent 2 hours together sitting down and talking. Now, I know what you're thinking, 2-hour-long podcast. I don't got time to listen to that. It's okay. Because this interview, this sit-down conversation with Jackie is going to be, again, a series that I put out here on This Freakin' Show. Kind of like the cosplaying series, except the only difference is this is going to be continuous one right after the other. So for the next 4 episodes of This Freakin' Show, it's going to be the interview I had with Jackie. It's going to be broken down into select parts and everything. Each increment's about 25, 30 minutes and everything, just depending on what we were able to talk about within that time frame. So if you guys are a fan of the keto diet, you want to know more about the keto diet, this is the best place to find it because Jackie has so much information about it, so informative about the diet and everything behind it. We do talk a little bit about her as well. We talk a little bit about me and everything. So you get to find some slight personal information about travesty as well into this on why I do the keto diet. Obviously, that's going to be in a future show, so it's not going to be in this one. But make sure you listen to every single episode in its order so you can follow along as we went through it. This week episode, we're going to just give a little bit of background on who Jackie is, a little bit of background on what keto diet is, the keto diet is, and ketosis. And we're going to talk a little bit about the keto flu. One of the things that people are so terrified about getting on the keto diet. I went through it at one point too, and it did suck. But the only reason it sucked is because I'm a guy, and when guys get sick, they are dying instantly. I will admit it. I'll admit it for everyone out there. It's just who we are. So I'm going to go ahead get the conversation going with her so we don't have to listen to me talk anymore. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 4 episodes of This Freakin' Show, starting with part 1 of the keto diet. Okay, so I am so excited to be sitting here right now because I've been looking forward to doing this interview for months now, and I'm finally getting sitting here. I'm here with Jackie. Jackie, first off, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me. I know it's long overdue, and it feels good to finally sync it up, man.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited. I mean, it's one of those things where I followed you a lot on Facebook ever since I started doing the keto diet, back in January 2017 is when I first started doing it, and I don't know how I came across you on Facebook and stuff like that, but I'm so glad I did because I got a lot of my keto stuff from you, so I'm really excited to kind of sit down and talk with you a little bit about it.
Yeah, it sounds fun. Yeah, it's been a long year, but it's been a fast year at the same time.
Yeah. So real quick, like I mentioned, you're Jackie. You're here to talk about the keto diet, but why don't you give a little background to some of the listeners here, on just kind of like who you are and just how you kind of got involved in the keto diet.
Okay, I'm Jackie Biggs. I'm originally from Illinois in the Midwest, south of Chicago. but I'm currently living and raising my kids in northern Bama. Um, Moving south was more of a lifestyle change for me, more than it was career or for my kids. I don't know. Since I was younger, I have been epileptic since I was 8, usually up north and all of that. Most people push towards medications and drug trials and just trying things to fix things with a pill and balance side effects, more like treat now, ask questions later. So it's just something that snowballed. And then I had restless leg syndrome for a while. Like it just snowballed into more problems throughout the 20 years that I was trying to treat the epilepsy and the RLS and everything on top of it. Plus, I have random chemical allergies on top of pregnancies. It's been quite a journey. So, moving
Wow.
south, I was able to kind of find more um, natural based medicine to where I
Mhm.
was able to reach out to neuro specialists down here and present the case of, if you natural biohack just enough with food science towards the ketogenic living, maybe this could be the cure or what I'm looking for to finally see what life's like and come off of pharmaceutical medications. It's I
Mhm.
started at 8, and by the time I was 26, I'm up to 5 or 6 medications, up to 4 or 5 times a day. Then you have the added anxieties of, well, what if this fails? Well, well, can I budget this amount of money for medicine this month? Which one can I go without? What's going to happen if I have an episode? And it was to the point, being a mom and being alone with my 3 kids, that I had to do something to better the safety for all of us. So it was more of like a wake up call in general. And I was a biochem major before kids and everything, and I was going to school for veterinary medicine. But pregnancies unplanned, you can't really juggle.
Mhm.
So it was nice to find a doctor that understood your passion for biochemistry and trying to find a more natural approach. And I was already working with a company with like minded people of coaches and virtual coaches, um, because I couldn't fit the norm, that cyclic or, trying to count so many of this for this portion here or typical diets and fads and other things. And they just didn't work for me.
Okay.
You try all these other different ways of what other people are doing to lose weight, which it might work one way, but it doesn't work all the way through. It might work on the outside for a physical transformation, but trigger more internal problems along my biochemistry here or there. So it's been a long journey to find that natural balance of things.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so then I sort of took off from there when I got the approval and coming off of medications within that first year. And I was already coaching ketogenic with my company before for about 2, 3 years, but I was never practicing it personally yet until I moved and had the push, and sort of that validation from a professional standpoint too, I guess, is what I was waiting for. Somebody in my corner professionally to say, yes, this is what we need to do. Um, they were actually more shocked as to why nobody's tried food science as an approach yet. So it was actually really cool. It was a very, doing a little self research and everything, and the community I was already a part of with helping others find better through ketosis. And my mom was celiac before she got cancer, so I was already managing and helping coach her nutrition. So it's something like I was already around balancing different types of food already. And it just sort of snowballed into a really cool collective experience, I guess.
Okay. Um, Real quick, to what if you had to describe what the keto diet is to somebody who doesn't understand big fancy words like I do? Um,
Okay.
how would you explain what the keto diet is?
Okay, well, what the keto diet is, or the keto diet is getting your body into a state of ketosis. Okay, so if you just look at the word ketosis, the first word is keto, which is for ketones, and the suffix of the word is osis, which is like a medical state or condition of. So ketosis is a heightened level of blood ketones. Okay.
Hmm.
And then what that does is your body turns into its native natural state of burning fats for fuel over glucose. So when you get into deeper levels of ketosis, ketones are your body's primal natural source for energy for your brain. Your brain is mostly what people don't realize is your brain is mostly fat and it can only operate off of a small amount of glucose. So when you're ingesting carbs and you're ingesting those sugars, you're spiking your insulin levels in your blood.
Hmm.
Um, so it's not, your body can only use so much glucose at once. So whatever your body's not immediately burning out of that glucose that you're spiking into your system, it's going to turn it over into fat to storage it, to convert it to fat to storage until it can get to it to burn it later. Whereas if you eliminate those carbs, so what ketogenic eating is pretty much just carb restriction, but you don't have just, it's not a lower carb, low fat plan. It is using, macros adjusted for your body type, metabolic, like there's different ways to go about it, but it's putting your body into a ketogenic state by using strict macros of it's mostly good fats like animal fats, but it's fats, proteins, and lower carb, yes, but you have a moderate amount of protein and a higher amount of fat. But the fat comes from natural based fats, which is what your body is used to producing and breaking down because we ourselves we're made up of animal fats. So
Hmm.
it's just um yes, I guess that would be like the easiest way. It's pretty much more fat, moderate protein, and lower carb. But within keto eating or keto living, there's different ways to approach keto. Like there's different ways that all work. But pretty much the easy way to say it is it's creating, in order to lose fat, you pretty much need to create a calorie or, I mean, an energy deficient. So when you have that energy deficient, then you start losing fat, you lose weight, but more or less, when you lose weight, it's more or less because you're losing fat.
Hmm.
So most people are gaining weight when they have that energy surplus, when there's not that energy deficient. So when your body's in a state to create ketones, when you deplete those insulin and those carbs, your body gets into a state where it produces its own ketone bodies that your body uses for energy, but it's insulin free energy. Therefore, it's longer lasting, self propelled, and it's all around just a deeper level of energy.
Okay. Wow, that is a lot.
I was like, well, there's different ways to look at it, but the easy
Yeah.
way is
Yeah, so because like I said, like when I was doing keto, I started doing it in January 2017. I made like a New Year's resolution to myself to drop actually and it's weird and it's probably like the worst like goal you can ever make for yourself. But my overall goal is to drop like 200 and some odd pounds in a year, which granted it's probably really unhealthy to do something like that. But
mine. I think it took me 11 months and I lost 100 pounds between keto and the ketogenic therapies added in.
yeah, and I think that's probably like more reasonable to like average somewhere like around like 10 pounds a month. Um, my goal is to average somewhere around like 15. But
Yeah.
when I got into it, like I looked at it like very basic, and I could have been completely wrong when I thought this. Like I saw it as like a high fat, low carb diet to where like you want to sit there and you want to make sure that your daily intake of food was at like I did a 70-25 5 when it came
Okay.
to fat, protein, carbs, which I think is the norm. I think some people do like 75-25 or something like that.
It
And
varies. said, it depends on what your overall goal is and what you're trying to like use it for. If you're trying to maintain, it might be a little higher. If you're trying to lose, you might cut it a little more.
Yeah, and the thing was, like, when I did it last year between January and May, I lost somewhere. I think it was like around 65 pounds or something like that. I started out at 437, and by May of last year, I ended up around 375.
Wow.
Yeah, it worked great. And then, like an idiot, I took a break from it for well, the rest of the year.
We all.
Luckily, yeah, and that's the thing, and one of the biggest things, and you might be able to agree with me on this, is like when it comes to dieting and stuff, it's not so much like what you eat, it's not the workouts and everything, but a lot of it is mental too.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you have to have that right mindset for it. And I for some reason for me, I spent years because I've always been a big kid. Like I've always been a big kid, and
Oh, I was a very husky. I was the same weight, but always the same height. So until the little growth spurts, I get it.
yeah, no, I kind of lucked out, like where it came to like I was very well proportioned for my weight. Like, I mean, I like looking at the front, I didn't think I looked that big, but like when I see pictures like me walking away from somebody or something like that, like I sit there like I could not believe that that's how big I look. It was like it was almost depressing for me to like kind of like see that without actually realizing it. And so, like I tried like years and years of like different diets, like the Weight Watchers and the Slim Fast diets, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so I think, what was it, not Beachbody, or is it
Beach
no,
body.
Beachbody? I tried that. There was just so many different ones, like just random ones. People are like, oh, you should try doing this. I mean, there was a time where like I used to do the military diet thing, which I'm not sure if you ever do you know what the
Oh,
military
yes.
diet is?
Yes, I've done that one before.
Yeah, it's like 900 calories a day or something like that for like 3 days or 4 days or whatever. I did that. That surprisingly worked, but the only problem with that one, I didn't think I got enough food in my system, and I felt like lightheaded and dizzy like every day I did it.
Well, that's what
Um,
it is too, is when you deplete your body of the carbs, you go through a detox phase. So you kind of
mhm,
need the good fats are good because it gets your body used to getting into, having the fats, using them. But that's why it's so important to have a moderate surplus of good proteins too, because the proteins are also going to help the muscles and fuel the muscles. Whereas muscles are usually carb burners, where those the first place the glycogen storage is going to deplete from when you're detoxing. So if you keep the good amount of protein, whereas with a low carb, low fat, most people cut out a lot of their proteins. So it puts you more into a starvation mode than a fat burning mode.
mhm.
But I think that's what a lot of people get confused too. They're so afraid of protein and good lean meats because they're afraid of those extra calories. But you kind of need those calories in order to transition and keep burning. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. And I that like right before, like when I started looking into keto, um, I realized that one of my biggest problems that came from dieting was I wasn't eating enough food.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
and the weird thing is, like, I've been told like that a lot by my stepdad, which I'm glad he doesn't listen to my show because I don't want him to know I saying he's right. But I mean, like when I died, like I always minimized what I ate and stuff like that. I never wanted to overeat because I figured like, and I think this is a little like a lot of people's problems come, is if you eat, you gain weight. And I think that's how
Yeah.
everyone sees it. But the problem is, like, I think what was happening with me is like I ate lunch, I ate dinner, I never ate breakfast. So when like, and I would eat like small meals and stuff like that, and that'd be it. Well, the problem was I don't think I was getting enough food to create fuel and stuff to keep my body energized to even break down the food and stuff. And instead, it was storing all that fat and stuff, eating away at the proteins of my muscles and stuff like that. I think that's kind of like where the problem came. And
And
I
that's
think
what
that's what.
people don't realize too is they'll ask somebody, well, what exactly are you doing? And they share in that moment of time the amounts that they're using for their specific body type. We can
Mhm.
only that's why if you notice, I'm not a part of any big major super this way or no way keto groups. Like that's why I love that my friends from the keto community and through my other companies and the fitness industry how, we kind of work together to sort of help. What I use is like the false idol pretense. Like instead of people putting out a numbers game to make you form to their better, to force to fit your body, we at least work with you. We try to sit with you and find something that's going to work for your lifestyle. Like you said, it's mostly mental, more, it's mental and nutritional before it's physical. So if you can't find a good match and a good vibe for something that you feel you can continue with,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of people fall off too. So it's just as much finding the right type as much as finding the right amount too.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense when it's a lot easier when people actually sit down and explain it, which is one of the biggest reasons I love that that I'm able to have you on the show to talk about this
I
because
think
I hate
too.
reading.
I
What?
like that it was, like, back when we started and it was frowned upon and just it felt so weird to be out of the box, but now, that's why we like doing our whole point is to empower, to empower and encourage and through education, like, that's what our purpose is, and to spread the keto conversation and just the awareness that, no, it's not all one way, and no, there's not, everybody has a specific natural flow of things.
Mhm.
There's a natural balance, and your balance might be, different than mine, which is going to be different than somebody next to me, but we teach you how to listen to your body and help you figure out how to learn the difference and actually learn what your body's trying to tell you, and it seems to work for most people. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things that we discussed about doing, especially in our interview, is we went to social media and we asked some people some questions that that they want answers to that we were able to do on the show here. So I kind of want to work some of those questions into our conversation. So as we move forward, we kind of just bring something up, and then we'll just keep us a little more topical and stuff like that to kind of like, you
yeah,
know. So
so
yeah, perfect. So I think I'm just gonna randomly choose questions here that fascinate me. So I guess one of the first questions that was brought up, which by the way, to everyone out there, these are all anonymous. I couldn't tell you who sent these questions to either me or Jackie. So
there were many and they were worded differently, but they kind of like mesh into like the same area.
yeah, and that was the biggest thing is like because I mean like we have a handful of questions here, but when it came down to it, a lot of the ones that I got were the yeah, it's like you said, they were worded differently, but it was the same question being asked. And one of the biggest ones, um, I want to get to a little bit later after we talk a little bit more, but it was like always about like overeating carbs and stuff. But I guess one of the biggest questions that I found interesting that I actually always kind of wanted to know myself is what is the quickest way to get into ketosis?
Okay, the quickest way to get into ketosis, um, well, like we said before, in order to get that long-term energy deficient going,
Mhm.
uh, over time, over, your lifestyle, you want to really question it. Is it something that you can support? So there's different ways to get into ketosis. It's just finding one that supports your goal and what fits to your lifestyle, which is awesome that there's more than one way to get into ketosis. Um, because that's what I like to do with my coaching. I try to help people who can't strictly do one way or the other still benefit, try to utilize some benefits of ketosis into their natural lifestyle. So, one of that everybody knows um, is the strict nutritional macros, which we kind of already talked about, you
Mhm.
know, um, where the carbs have the sugars, which increase your insulin, causing spikes in your blood sugar. But when you do a lower carb, reduced high fat meal plan, um, you're substituting what people are so afraid of too when they do it that way is the carbs. Well, it's not really, you have lower carbs, but you're choosing smarter carbs. So what we kind of like to point out is, your carbs are from above ground vegetable sources of produce. Therefore, it's green and leafy. There's other vitamins naturally in it. You don't have to rely so much on supplements and vitamins as you do with other diets feeling depleted because you're fueling your body with more whole food nutrition and not so starchy, sugary, heavy carbs, which there's other ways to do this, like we've kind of hinted at, but with
Mm.
keto, like you said, you learn to eat when you're hungry and how to actually listen to your body versus when you're eating and you're inputting those sugars and with those carbs, and that just think of like a roller coaster. Every time you eat with carbs and those sugars, you're putting a spike in your insulin in your blood. Okay, and we all know that the sugar can be addicting, or any of us that have had carb addiction or sugar addictions, like you can't really tell when you're actually hungry or when your body is just craving. So if you're constantly eating or snacking with that way, you really can't tell when your body's actually hungry versus what's an actual craving. But when you take those out, you learn to listen to your body, and you actually start to know the difference when you're thirsty, when you're hungry, when you just feel a little you need a boost of, like, you just start to feel different, but you start to understand your own body more. Um, but the standard keto, which a lot of people preach, is around 30 net carbs a day or lower. What a net carb is when you look at a label, you see the total carbs, and then somewhere right underneath of there, you see a tally for fiber. So what a net carb is you take the fiber and you subtract it from the total carbs, and that's what your net carb is for that count. So, say you're looking at a label and it says 10 total grams of carbs, but only 5 grams of fiber. 10 minus 5, 5 net carbs. Um, for people just starting out, I point out, to get into ketosis, yes, you can start out higher between 30 to 50 net carbs, which most people with diabetes or things like that, people who have restrictions start out higher. That way you're not depleting your body too much at once. And people who admit that they are heavy carb addicts or sugar addicts, I urge them to start closer to 50 net carbs just so you practice tracking and practice tapering yourself down a little bit versus forcing that extra stress of feeling depleted, or not knowing if you're feeling deprived or tired from the transition, or if you feel like you're starving. So when you sort of taper yourself down and work your way down naturally, that sort of kicks in with the natural flow too. That's why I don't like to tell people specific numbers, but more of an ideal start and slowly taper yourself back. And then as you get into closer through transition, your body, you sort of notice when you start to feel good. So um, then people are there, they'll look a little deeper, we'll recalculate to get a more specific number if you want to continue that way, because there's strict keto where you're actually tracking all the time. Um, so that's really good for people that are more goal oriented, or those that are struggling for weight loss and want a quicker journey. You
Mhm.
have your lazy keto when it comes to the macros, which you're not really tracking, but for those that start out, you always start with tracking. But I'm saying as you become transition and fat adapted, there is a lazier keto where you don't track the calories or the macros very much, but you just track your carbs to keep them within reason. It's usually better for people that prefer to like keep it simple, or they're starting to adjust to feel they're feeling good, so they want to let up on their restrictions a little bit and just it allows for that flexibility a bit. And then you have, once you get fat adapted and you want to loosen up on that, there's a dirty keto, which is where, you include anything into your macros as long as it fits, which is like instead of the whole foods, you might go for quick, easy, like an unhealthier food or the processed stuff. But hey, if it fits, it fits. So make so sometimes when you're on the go and stuff, there's ways to work it in. But the second way to get into ketosis is through fasting. Um, that one, I would say, if you're going through a strict nutritional route, when you're doing your macros, it could take every metabolic person, everybody's different. It could take one person a week to get into ketosis through strict macros. It could take somebody up to 3 weeks. It just depends on how closely you monitor or stay within your goals and how long it takes you to hit how much your body detoxes the glycogen to hit that fat burning mode, to release the ketone bodies into your system. But when you're fasting, you take away a lot of calories and carbs.
Mhm.
um, but that's where you deplete the glycogen stores more quickly because you're eliminating the calories and everything. Um, so with the fasting, you actually go deeper of a ketosis faster. You initiate that ketogenesis. I know it's a big word. To where your body is not only in a keto body, like to where it's to where it's actually producing its own ketones. Where your body, that point when your body is producing its own ketones, that's the ketogenesis. But at that point, your body is releasing them. It's in its own energy. Um, that ketone generation is going to break down the fatty acids and use it as an energy source to kind of fuel your brain, your eyes, your heart, your lungs, your entire body because it's on a cellular level. So it's just a deeper metabolic reset. The ketone bodies, they hit everything. With the fasting though, it is, and with the macros tracking, with the transition, you get sometimes, I know it's going to come up eventually, but that keto flu, um, all that is, like, people are so afraid of the word keto because of the haunting keto flu. Let me tell you, it's really easy to get through. Like you said, it's more mental, but all a keto flu is your electrolyte imbalance as you're going through that transition. So your body has to burn through its glycogen storages. So it's gonna feel a little tired. It's gonna feel a little cranky. You know, think about when you're doing any detox. So when your body is detoxing all that sugar, it's gonna get a little hangry, cranky until the fat burning kicks in and you're using the ketone bodies for energy. But these are easy too because all you do, the electrolytes, all I say is, just make sure you take a multivitamin. When you're in ketosis, you actually lose a lot more minerals than you do when you sweat. So the main minerals you lose are
Mhm.
magnesium, potassium, calcium, sodium. So I say, like, to balance out the keto flu, just take a multivitamin, a really good multivitamin that works for you. Just keep your sodium intake up, potassium and magnesium. We all were raised on that standard American diet, which is a lot, but 90% of the American population is actually naturally magnesium deficient. I know that's like super specific,
Mhm.
but I know I, for one, I had RLS, so I know my testimony doesn't really matter. But if you're a person who has, irritability in your legs or Charlie horses, cramping randomly, it's not just a potassium fix, it's also a slight mineral imbalance with your magnesium. But natural Epsom soaks, like the salt baths or a magnesium supplement. There are different concentrations of magnesium. I usually recommend if you're starting out, just do the 250 milligram, but you can find the combination that works for you. Um, and fasting is the quickest way to get into ketosis until they came out with the ketones. um, the ketones pretty much, they're, instead of your body making ketones internally, which takes a little bit of time, therapeutic exogenous ketones are, they are supplemented through your body through, they're water soluble, so they enter into your blood. They're bound to sodium usually as some sort of sodium in whatever product that they're in order for your body to quickly but effectively but super efficiently um, use the ketone bodies to get into ketosis to start burning fat for fuel, a lot quicker than just making them on your own. Um, the ketones pretty much, an easy way to say it would be like it helps the ordinary person create that energy deficient that we talked about already,
Hmm.
that kind of that wouldn't have been there otherwise, like, it wouldn't have happened. So, when you take ketones exogenously, depending on the quality or brand that you get, ketones are meant to create that insulin-free energy I talked about, where there's no crash, no sugar, no jitter, no dependency. It's just a natural balance, um, to help balance your blood. Yeah, sorry. I thought my kid was opening the door. Um, so it's pretty much it creates the energy deficient to lose weight and all that. But depending on the quality of your ketones or brand you use, the really good quality ketones, the ones that are naturally bioavailable and more naturally fermented and more bioidentical to your body, usually when you take those ones, you can test it. The blood test will show like a therapeutic dose in a matter, like to show that that therapeutic dose actually made a difference. So those enter you into ketosis depending. Um, well, the ones that I use are patented to work within an hour for ketosis, but there's other brands out there, um, things like that. But those are the three ways to get into ketosis, either through your nutrition, the fasting, or through therapeutic ketones.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. My part one of four with Jackie talking about the keto diet. I'm really excited we're able to do this, and it's amazing to sit down with somebody who has such information on a diet and everything. Plus, she's helping me out as well as all of you guys. Like I said, this is part one of four. Over the next 4 weeks, this freaking show is going to be talking about the keto diet. Something that I've been wanting to do for a year when I started my journey back in January of last year. Um, so make sure you stay in touch with the show. Enjoy every sit down talk I have with her through the month of February. We're gonna call this Keto Month here on this freaking show, so I'm super excited about it. And we did do a Q&A a lot, like I mentioned in the show, as you heard, and we did throughout the show. Just popped up with questions from you guys. If you guys still have questions about the keto diet after listening to this and everything, you could reach out to me. You could reach out to Jackie. We will get the answer for you because, as we mentioned so much throughout our conversation, it's a team effort. It's a group effort. No one should ever have to go through this by themselves. So we're here. We are here as a team. This is our freaking journey, and we're going to freaking do it. Quick plug for myself, a cheap plug for myself. If you guys don't know, I do a journal entry on WordPress about my dieting and my journey through keto and dieting and my whole lifestyle change itself. You can check that out. It's at WordPress. Like this freaking journey dot WordPress.com or some shit that I don't fucking know what it even is because I haven't plugged it in such a while. Actually, I think I have plugged it lately. I just can't think of what it is. This freaking journey.wordpress.com. That's what it is because there's a post-it note right in front of my face. Awesome. Check that out if you guys are interested in more about my life and everything in it. My ups and downs, it's all in there. I'm honest throughout the entire thing, so definitely check that out. And also follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at This Freaking Show. Tell your friends about us. If they have an interest in anything I talk about, which if you're listening to this, I know you have to listen to more than one episode, so you know what this show is about. Find your friends and say, hey, listen, check out This Freaking Show. Because we are on iTunes, we are on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Play every week for you guys to listen to us. You know what? Let me tell you what I'm freaking thinking about. Working out is going to be a huge part of my life now. I am going to the gym. I'm committing to the gym. I know I mentioned it before. There's a great incentive from my company to go to the gym when you go more than 15 times. You go 16 plus days out of the month. You get a gift card for going. So I'm going to take advantage of that because free money is always good to have. So starting January through on out, 16 plus days minimum at the gym. So I'm excited to do that. If you guys have any workout plans that you think would benefit me, focus on weight loss, not muscle gain, but weight loss, send it over to me and I'd love to do it. FYI, I don't do burpees. I don't do lunges. Fuck those exercises. Hate them so much. As always, I am Travis C, and thank you for listening to another episode of This Freaking Show. I'm out.